Good morning, dear students. In this session, let us discuss the poem The Thought Fox, written by Ted Hughes, an English poet. In this poem, we try to understand the life and works of Ted Hughes. We also try to understand the analogy between the thought fox and the printed page. There is a relationship between the thought fox, an imaginary fox, or the fox that is there in our thought, and the printed page. The poet brings analogy or relation between the thought fox and the printed page. We understand that, and we try to understand the figurative language used in this particular poem. After going through this session, we learn the formative influences on the poet. We grasp how thought fox emerges from abstractness to concreteness. Thought fox is an imaginary thing. In the poem, this thought fox, which takes its birth in the mind, emerges from abstractness to concreteness. It gets the concrete shape even though it appears abstract in the beginning. So we enjoy the metaphorical analogy used in the poem. First, let us try to know the details about Ted Hughes. He was born in the year 1930 and died in the year 1998. He was born in Yorkshire in England. His father was a carpenter, but later he became a soldier. Ted Hughes had interest in animals and birds from childhood. He loved birds and animals. He watched them in the nearby area, which was very close to his home. He went to Cambridge University for higher studies. There he met an American girl who was also there for higher studies. Her name was Sylvia Plath. He met her there. Both loved each other and married in the year 1956. But the marriage did not last long. It broke after a few years. He was appointed the Poet Laureate of England in the year 1984 and died in the year 1998. This is a brief sketch of Ted Hughes. Let us look into his works. Ted Hughes brought out a collection of poems titled The Hawk in the Rain. It was his first poem collection of poems published in the year 1957. It was followed by Voodoo, published in 1967. Lupercal is another collection of poems published in 1970. He brought out Crow in the year 1970. Cave Birds in 1978. Remains of Helmet 1977, and Moortown was published in the year 1979, and he brought out another collection of poems in 1983 titled The River. So most of his poems are on natural elements, birds, animals, rivers. So he is very much interested in nature, and he wrote about nature. He wrote books for children, and he edited so many anthologies of books or poems for the children. In his poems, animals appear throughout his works in different forms. Animals appear in the form of a deity. In some poems, they appear as metaphor. In some other poems, persona, icon, etc. So, animals appear throughout his literary works. He emphasizes the cunning and savagery of animals in his books or poems. Animals are cunning and they are savage. So he highlights the nature of animals in his poems. He uses lyrics and monologues to illustrate the nature of animals. Coming back to this poem, The Thought Fox. Look at the title. The Fox in Our Thought. The Thought Fox. Thought is an adjective here. The Fox in Our Thought. The Thought Fox is a poem of 6 stanzas. It was included in the collection of poems titled The Hawk in the Rain. It is a dream-like poem. This poem is a dream-like poem. It is a reverie on a cold winter's night. The poet had a reverie in the form of reverie is the thought fox on a cold winter's night. That is the setting of this poem. In the poem, an abstract idea receives a concrete shape. We saw that in the previous slide also. The poet, an abstract idea, finds or sees an abstract idea or an abstract thing somewhere in the forest in the darkness. It is not clearly visible. It is very, very abstract. But later, it comes very close to the poet and it receives a concrete shape. So an abstract thing receives a concrete shape in a course of time, in a short span of time. That concretization of the abstract thing indicates the creative inspiration. That creative inspiration takes the form of a box or a printed page. So the poet gets an inspiration, creative inspiration in his mind. It appears in abstract form somewhere far away from the poet's room, and it happens in darkness. But later, it gradually comes closer to the poet and gets a concrete shape gradually. The concrete shape that it gets is in the form of fox. Later, it is transformed into a printed page, again another concrete form. So, an abstract thing receives a concrete shape gradually. That is a poem. So, the fox in the poem is both an animal and an idea. So, whenever we talk of the fox in this particular poem, it is not just an animal, it is an idea also. So we find two different levels of meanings. One is the literal meaning and another one is the metaphorical meaning. Literal level, at the literal level, fox is an animal which we see in the darkness and which comes very close to the poet at night time. At the metaphorical level, it is a creative process. A creative process of writing a poem. The poet finds it very, very difficult in the beginning to conceive an idea and present it in the form of a printed page. But gradually, this abstract idea that he conceives in his mind takes a concrete shape and it appears on the printed page. So the fox is both an animal and an idea. It is literal and also metaphorical. So a thought has been personified in the poem. A thought is personified in the poem. So the poet sees something is alive somewhere. Something is alive. Look at the expression, something is alive. What is that something? It is a question. Let us try to know what is that something that is alive. The setting of this poem is a room by the dark forest. The room is there by the forest. The time is midnight, so there is darkness everywhere. The forest is also very thick, so darkness prevails at midnight. The poet sits at his writing desk by the open window. The window of the room is open. The poet is sitting by the at the writing desk. He wants to compose a poem or something, but he doesn't have any new idea to write about. Outside the window, outside the room, lies the starless dark night. It is midnight. The forest is by the side. The window of the room is wide open. Outside, dark night prevails. There are no stars in the sky. Even we cannot see the starlight. It is completely dark. Complete darkness indicates that there is no new idea to write about in the poet's mind. His mind is completely blank, but he is at the writing desk. His intention is to compose something, or write a poem, or any literary piece for that matter. There is a clock in the room. The clock ticks. The clock goes on ticking. It is very clearly audible. It very clearly indicates that there is a dead silence in the room. Almost, utmost silence and loneliness prevails in the room. It is very, very clear. Midnight, silence prevails everywhere. Even a drop of the pin can also be heard of. So the poet moves his finger on a blank paper. There is a blank paper on the table. The poet keeps moving his finger on the black paper and he tries to write something, but he is not able to conceive new ideas or get new ideas in his mind to write a poem. So his mind is searching for a poem. His mind is searching for an idea to write the poem, but he doesn't get any idea initially. So darkness outside window symbolizes inactivity of imagination. In order to write a poem, he has to get new ideas. Getting new ideas means getting them in his imagination. He has to imagine certain things. But the darkness outside indicates that he cannot imagine anything. His mind is blank. So before the beginning of creative process, there is darkness. The mind is very, very blank. The poet's mind is very blank. He doesn't get any idea at all, just like the darkness that prevails outside the window. The poetic creation takes its root gradually. The poet's mind is very, very blank. After a while, poetic creation takes its roots in the natural landscape outside the poet's mind. Actually, poetic creation has to take its roots in the mind of the poet. But here, poetic creation takes its roots in the natural landscape, that is in the forest, outside the poet's mind or outside the poet's room, somewhere in the forest. See, the creation, poetic creation or an inspiration is not in the mind of the poet. It takes its roots in the natural landscape, away from the room and away from the poet's mind. So the poet feels something is present there or in the forest. He is not very certain about it, because darkness prevails outside the room. The forest is little away from his room. He cannot see what is happening in the forest or what is there in the forest. But he feels something in the forest, in the distance. He feels the presence of something, but he doesn't know what is that something. But something is alive. It keeps stirring or moving. He feels it. So that something comes near, something more near. First he felt something too far away from his room. or too far away from his mind. After a while, that something comes closer to the poet. Again, no stars are found outside. No stars in the sky means to say that it is a symbol of inspiration. The poet gets inspiration in darkness. There is no disturbance. His attention is not diverted. He is in complete silence, concentration. So he gets the inspiration in the darkness. So the darkness indicates the inspiration that the poet gets for writing a poem. Then the poet feels the imagined something's presence close to him. First he felt that something was there in the forest, too far away from him. Next he feels that imagined something, whether it was a real one or a imagined one, he is not sure about it. It seems as if it is an animal. He is also not sure about it, whether it may be an animal or something else, but it seems to be like an animal. Its presence is very close to the poet. So something more near. He feels that it is coming closer to him. That something connotes or indicates creative inspiration and the imagined animal. What is that something? That something is a creative inspiration that the poet gets somewhere in the forest, which is not very clear. It is very abstract. And it is an imagined animal. The poet imagines that the something that he saw in the forest might be an animal. So he is not very much sure about it as an animal. So he finds the movement of the visualized animal is not clear. He feels that that animal is moving. He feels the movement of that visualized animal, but he is not very sure about it. But its presence is very much felt by the poet. Something is there, but he is not sure about it. The vague movement of the animal correlates vague stirrings of the poem, yet not clearly formed. So we find an analogy here. That something that moves in the forest in the form of an animal, it doesn't have a concrete shape. The poet is not sure about its concrete shape. Similarly, there is a stirring up a poem in the mind of the poet, and yet it is not clearly formed in his mind. He has to give a shape to the poem, but he cannot give it all of a sudden. It is still in an abstract form, as we see the imagined animal in the forest, which image is not yet concrete. So this imagined something serves a movement. The imagined something or the animal gradually turns out to be a fox. In the beginning it was not clear. After a while the poet felt it to be an animal, and it gradually starts moving towards the poet's room or towards the poet. After a while the poet feels that it is an animal. It turns out to be an animal, that is fox. The poet sees its dark nose touching a twig and leaf. He is almost sure that the animal is a fox. It is a living animal. And he gets the confirmation by its dark nose touching a twig and leaf. There is a twig lying on the ground. This fox touches the twig with its nose. he touches the leaf of that fig. This event makes the poet very much sure that the imagined something is the fox and it gets the concrete shape. So the fox nose is as cold and delicate as the dark snow. The nose of the fox is very very cold since it is night and snow is falling, and it is delicate as the dark snow. So the poet sees two eyes of the animal. When that imagined animal took the concrete form, the poet saw the two eyes of the animal. Now the two eyes are very very clear. The poet is very much sure that it is an animal. Even he can identify the animal as fox. Its eye movement makes the body of the fox appear more distinct. While fox is moving in the forest and it is shaking its head, looking hither and thither. So, in the light of its eyes, the poet sees the body of the fox, and the appearance of the fox becomes very very distinct and clear for the poet. So, the poet gradually gets the confirmation that the imagined animal is the fox and it has got the concrete shape. So it serves a movement. He feels the movement of the animal in a concrete form. So that animal which is in a concrete form in the darkness sets neat prints on the ground, and it is very very bold to come very close to the poet. The eyes of the fox serve light to the movement between the trees in the snow. Snow has fallen everywhere in the forest. The fox moves between the trees. The eyes of the fox serve light for the movement. The eyes give light for the fox to see what lies ahead of it. The poet is very much excited as fox sets its paw prints carefully on snow between the trees. The poet looks at this concrete animal, fox, and he is able to see its movement very clearly in its eye slits. So the poet is excited as the fox sets, the fox very carefully moves, puts its paw prints carefully on the snow between the trees. It walks very carefully without hitting or dashing into the trees in the darkness. It is very very careful. It moves very carefully and slowly on its paws, and its paws prints are visible on the snow. And the lame shadow of the fox provides fuller picture of fox. The poet not only sees the fox, real fox, concrete fox, he can also see the lame shadow of the fox. It is a concrete animal, living animal. He is very much sure about it. Later, this fox takes a shape bold to come. Next, it is transformed into an animal, and it is a bold animal, dare enough to move around. This boldness suggests fox is lurking on the outer edge of the forest to leap inside. The fox is lurking on the outer edge of the forest. It is moving towards the outer edge of the forest, and it wants to leap inside the room or into the poet's mind. So the poet sees or finds greenness across clearings. The forest is cleared. The trees and some plants are cut. Among the studs, the poet can see the greenness. The fox breaks through to full realization with its leap. The fox jumps into the cleared forest. Earlier it was in the deep forest. Later it came out of the forest. The trees at the edge of the forest are cut. So it is an open area. The fox comes into full realization of the poet. It leaps into the open area and it descends on the imagination of the poet. The fox descends on the imagination of the poet. So the two eyes of the fox are merged into single greenness that has grown wider and deeper as fox comes near the poet. The two eyes are merged into a single greenness that has grown wider and deeper. As the fox comes very close to the poet, close to his place, the two eyes are merged into one single greenness. Greenness is a symbol of life, symbol of new life, symbol of new creation. And they come very close to the poet. And this greenness moves brilliantly with concentration about its own business. The fox, which turns into greenness, single greenness, moves brilliantly with concentration about its own business. It is after its own business. It has its own plan to execute. So it moves to its target. So there is a sudden sharp art sting. The fox is so close to the poet. It has come very close to his room, so close to the poet that he can smell its sharp sting. The fox is very, very close to the poet. The poet can smell the sharp sting of the fox. Then this fox enters the dark hole of his head. There is a dark hole in the head of the poet. This fox enters into the head of the poet. When the fox enters into the poet's head, it is symbolic. It indicates the unification of man and animal. Animal, the fox, which was there outside the forest, which was very, very abstract. Gradually it took the concrete shape. Then it came very close to the poet and entered into the poet's mind through the dark hole that was there in his head. By this, an animal came to the man or to the poet and it merged into the body or head of the poet. So it is a symbolic image. Here the fox that comes and enters into the poet's head is a new idea. New idea is very, very abstract. But it enters into the poet's head in the concrete form of fox. That is why the fox is not the real animal. It is the thought fox. It is a fox in the mind of the poet. Fox indicates a new idea. So it is personified. Thereafter, this animal, fox, which entered into the poet's mind, takes another shape. It appears on the page of a book or a paper and it takes another shape, printed shape. The picture of the fox becomes real in the page of the poem. That way there is a transformation from an abstractness to concreteness, and the fox animal entering into the poet's head, and the fox that entered into the poet's head appears again on the printed page in the form of a poem. The window is still starless. Even now it is dark. The clock quite naturally goes on ticking. So the poet composes a poem. The fox that enters into his head is a new idea that got into his head. And when he got a new idea in the form of the fox, he started writing a poem, and he wrote a poem. He was sitting at the desk to get a new idea. He got the new idea in the form of the fox. And the poem was composed and it got the shape of a printed page. So this poem, Thought Fox, is about a creation of a poem. It is about a creative process. It is metaphorical. Let us recap whatever we learnt in this poem. The poem is about a poem composition. Just as the fox takes its shape and moves on its business in the poet's mind, so does the poem. You see the thought fox. The poem is about the composition of a poem. The fox takes its shape. It appears in a abstract form in the forest. Gradually it takes the concrete form or a shape. Later it moves into the head of the poet on its own business. Similarly, the poet's mind does its own job of writing a poem. So fox is both an animal and an idea. It is both literal and metaphorical. The fox is in the mind of the poet rather than outside the forest or outside his mind. The gap between the external and internal dissolves in the consciousness of the poet. So far we had a gap between the concrete shape and the abstract shape, and there was a gap between the external animal and the internal thought process. These two dissolved into one in the consciousness of the poet. So there is a merger of concrete and abstract, external and the internal in the poem. Let us go through the questions to assess our understanding of this poem. The Thought Fox is included in the collection of poems titled Lupercal, Cave Birds, The Hawk in the Rye, Crow. It is included in the poem collections called The Hawk in the Rye. The poet first noticed the fox nose, legs, eyes. Yes. The poet first noticed the fox eyes. That made him feel that something is stirring in the forest. What was producing the sound in the poet's room? Withered leaves of the forest, the footprints of the fox, howling of the fox, clock ticking. The sound of clock ticking was there in the room of the poet. It was clock that was ticking in the room. Cold delicately as the dark snow, a fox nose touching twig, leaf. In this line, the figure of speech used here is metaphor, simile, personification, hyperbole. The figure of speech used here is simile. The fox of the poet's mind, thought fox, finally appears in concrete form as printed page, forest, shadow, blank page. Printed page. These are the references or websites that I consulted for preparation of this presentation. Thank you for listening.